Okay, bro, how are you doing?
Excellent, man.
Yeah?
And you, Mr. T?
I'm doing good, bro.
Awesome.
Yeah, machine, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, gas fees. This is something, especially since Doge happened, right? Like it boomed and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
The gas fees are like through the roof. Can you tell us what actually gas fee is?
Yeah, yeah.
And second, why not even tell us why is it that gas fees have become such a headache?
Yeah. It's a big question.
Yeah.
You know, everywhere I see people saying gas, gas, gas. And here's a really simple analogy, and it's actually the best one, is, you know, when you drive a vehicle, right, powered by gasoline, you know, petrol, you need to constantly fuel it with gasoline in order for it to run.
Yeah, sure.
So the car itself, think of it as a Ethereum blockchain, the infrastructure. Now, the gasoline that you put in, the energy, is the Ethereum token, right? Or ETH as the symbol.
Yep.
So that's really what it is. If it's everything's not free, right? If you want to execute contracts on Ethereum, right? If you want to run your car, of course you got to put in gas. You got to pay gas, right?
Sure. Yeah. So it's just a way of paying the processes.
That's really what it is.
Eliciting, right?
Yeah.
But why are they so expensive? Because I would say, well, I think anyone would say, if you want to trade with anything that runs on Ethereum, I mean, you need to have big investment. I mean, you really need to be moving quite a bit of money, because if you're going to pay $400 or $500 for a gas fee, it's not like you can just buy $10 of a token, right?
Of course. So that's why there's a problem of leaving out the smaller investors and only the whales, right? The so-called big investors can do it.
Yeah.
So why is the price going up? Well, roughly, right? Just rough correlation. As more people use the network, you know, it gets more popular, right? People are talking about media. I want to buy this and that, you know, execute contracts. The demand grows, right? And it's basically built on a system where people who pay the highest fees, right, the more gas, gets first dibs, as in their contracts gets executed first. So it's basically a domino effect. Okay, I pay more to get executed faster. The next person pays more, and so on.
Yeah. So
it's just this never-ending thing that's going on, and that's really what it is. And it's also an infrastructure problem. Again, Ethereum came out very early on. Like, it was basically one of the very earliest blockchains that came out, and they didn't foresee this, right?
Yeah, of course.
So now the tech is struggling to catch up with the demand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question about that. What have they done to alleviate some of the problems that they didn't foresee happening? Like, they went for proof of stake, right?
You got it.
Yeah. So can you explain the before and after?
Right, so under the hood, there's various technical improvements being made. One is proof of stake. Let's just say it improves the whole gas structure. Everything's cheaper, right? Everything gets faster. However, you know, they announced that months ago, and it's still in implementation. This thing's going to take years.
Really?
To be realistic.
Okay, can you explain just very roughly what this proof of stake is?
Yeah, so it comes down to... The question is, like, okay, you pay gas, right? Well, like, where's that money being paid to? Well, it's being paid to the Ethereum network, or the nodes, right?
The nodes.
The nodes are basically people who have computers, and then they have these big, powerful computers they call it mine, right? It's a way to secure the network and prevent gamification.
Okay.
And the way to do that is you need to have very expensive computers and lots of electricity, right?
And you're writing the block, right? Like, the latest layer of the
It's
block?
actually the same as Bitcoin.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, as what we discussed about. Yeah.
Okay.
However, that's expensive, and right now it's limiting, really bottlenecking. So the idea is, hey, why don't we move to something that's more environmentally friendly, where it doesn't use explosive amounts of electricity?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also make things faster and cheaper for everyone. So that's what proof of stake is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Now there's a lot of other chains that are trying to be an alternative, and I think a lot of them are succeeding, right? Like Binance chain. Right? So how come Ethereum? Well, the first question would be: will the emergence of these chains threaten in any way Ethereum's existence?
Very good question. Yes, there's tons of other chains out there. Like you said, Binance Smart Chain. You know, there's Ontology, Neo. Well, there's also the Polkadot ecosystem that we keep hearing. all of these respective chains, have its pros and cons, but they're definitely strong competitors to Ethereum. So that's why a lot of people who cannot bear the high gas fees are moving to these other chains, right? And that's good, right? The whole industry is growing.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
But do you think at some point people will say, like, why are we in ERC20 or wherever?
Yeah, of course. And I think people are seeing that now. However, there's two, I would say, main reasons why Ethereum is not going to disappear today or tomorrow or even next year. Hopefully. One is there's already been years and years of applications and development already built on Ethereum.
So that they cannot just cross through.
Imagine you're a developer in a company, you spend years building your baby, right? Your Ethereum application. It's not like you're going to say bye all of a sudden and just crush the thing.
Of course.
In fact, you cannot, right?
Yeah. But at some point, I understand perfectly that these systems are huge, right? And they have legacies. So, but 5 years, 10 years, at some point,
I think so. I mean, there could be a point where Ethereum was a thing of the past. No one's talking about it. I could definitely see that.
Right.
But at the minimum, in my personal views, probably not for another 5 years at minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot of, now we're getting a little bit, but let's just continue the conversation, right? Like now we see a lot of projects that are doing cross platforms.
Yeah.
So is that a way to alleviate the problem with the ETH chain, or what are they doing with this? Why are they doing it?
Well, I mean, you hit the bullseye, right? That's exactly what they're doing. So the idea is, okay, the upgrade of Ethereum is going to take too long. People cannot wait. Okay, all these other projects that are building up to work in conjunction with Ethereum are popping up, and they're forming these cross chains. And that is exactly what's happening now. And we're at the infancy stage. So this general term is cross chain or interoperability. Right?
Correct.
So we're at that point where we're kind of like starting to connect these blockchains. So they call it like the internet of blockchains. So it's imagine like you have a galaxy, right?
Yeah.
The galaxy could be Ethereum. The sun is like the Ethereum, and the planets are like the Ethereum applications. Yeah. Now it's like all of a sudden we ventured out and found new galaxies, and now we're building like these portals between these galaxies. Yeah. So it's really
exciting. Sound really cool, man.
It is really cool, man.
It is cool, but it's complex. Right, these things again,
extremely complex.
There is a reason why this is the human and the machine, right? Like
they're really complex,
right? Like I've been in this environment, right, and I do understand. Obviously, I mean, sure, but still, like when you talk and when you listen and you see the main players actually still resolving so many technical problems and obstacles.
Yeah, it's again. To go along with the galaxy analogy, it's kind of like, okay, we landed on the moon. We landed a robot on Mars. Now people are going to go to Mars. However, we know that we're going to have to venture into other galaxies at some point. Now, how the heck are we going to do that? Well, that's what we're figuring out right now. Yeah.
And do you think Ethereum could take enough steps in the future, like those 5 years you were talking about, to actually stay relevant once all the other chains get strong?
Oh, definitely. And they're doing that. They actually have a very elaborate and detailed timeline and roadmap of what's going to happen. Like pretty much improvements, scalability, speed, cost, and everything. Yeah. So they are doing that.
Okay. And I have another question. Altcoins, usually, a lot of them, right? Altcoins are on non-Ethereum blockchains.
No, actually, a lot of altcoins are on Ethereum, but they're starting to venture out into other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a misconception for me. Like, you wouldn't say that a coin is more valuable intrinsically because it's running on Ethereum chain than in a different chain?
It's a good question. That actually brings me on to the second reason why Ethereum won't disappear, and it's to security. Because it has like 7 or so, like 6-7 years, don't quote me on that, but years of security. And for the most part, it has been very, very secure.
Have they ever been hacked? No.
One, but that was very early on to the point where it didn't affect it as much compared to today. But let's just say it was able to handle billions and billions of US dollars worth of transactions without a hitch. Of course, it's slow, but
who cares?
But
right?
It works. It works.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't want fast and something terrible happening.
Seriously, exactly.
Okay.
So that security, takes a lot of lot of trust to build up over time. And people know that. So this you cannot take away.
Well, right? Because lately we have seen quite a number of hacks, right? Like Avalanche, right? AVAX. I had quite a bit of money on futures and just suddenly went from almost 70K to 24.
You got wiped out, bro.
I'm getting accustomed to that. No, but actually,
well, you make it back, right? Yeah. By the time we record again,
do you know the worst part is that I didn't, because after almost 6 months, it hasn't come back to where it was. Even though they handled the situation quite well, right, and they were going to do some compensations and everything, it just shows how important security is and reliability and the perception that you are bulletproof. Yeah,
this is actually another more complex subset. On the news, you'll hear a lot of Ethereum hacks. Well, it's actually Ethereum itself not getting hacked. It's actually the applications on top.
Oh, okay.
Because think of it as Ethereum is just an infrastructure, right? You're going to build applications on top of it.
Yeah.
If the application gets hacked, it doesn't mean Ethereum got hacked.
No,
yeah, they're two different things. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's actually quite complex. So there's going to be a lot of do your own research in that realm.
Yeah.
We can talk about this too. Like, there's just so many hacks. It's kind of ridiculous. Right?
I think we should, right?
Yeah.
Soon in another chapter. But today, I think anything else about Ethereum? Anything that is in your mind that you would like to share, like that we didn't touch about, we didn't talk about?
Again, just to summarize, Ethereum is just an infrastructure, right? It's meant to be a world supercomputer. It executes contracts, and Ethereum itself, the ETH is a gas token. And then from there, again, the possibilities are endless, and we're just exploring what's possible. So,
okay.
I think there's just so much more upside in the future, rather than it just going to dust.
I think, what about if next program we talk about tokens? Because you talked about tokens in certain ways.
Yeah, and you mentioned altcoins, so let's do it.
Yeah, and utility coin and governance token and all these things, that probably is a good...
Yeah, people are like, what's the difference, right?
Yeah, and is it, for example, like we talked, right, like I just mentioned Avalanche, right?
Yeah.
Like the price is not really where it should be. And we know a lot of projects, right? We've talked about very worthy projects that the coin is just not going nowhere in value, yet the project, it is actually going very well.
Let's talk about that.
Right?
Let's talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Bro, for today,
thanks.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourself, okay?
Likewise.
Okay.